Hello and welcome to the June 2014 Kula Yoga Shala teacher feature. This month we're chilling on the brand new red sofa. Check it out.
Very nice. Very comfy.
In the Buddha Bar with Lisa Luther. And Lisa teaches the organic vinyasa practice on Saturday afternoons at 2:30 p.m. Hey Lisa.
Hi.
Thanks so much for hanging out for a few minutes and taking time to do this.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes. And thanks for teaching at Kula too. And
I love it.
yeah, Lisa graduated from our teacher training program, not today, which was a graduation day, but last time around, and has been teaching here for a few months now, and wanted to take this time just to give people a sense of your background with yoga and healing arts in general, and kind of what drew you to the practice personally, and then after that we could talk more about your class here at Kula and what people can anticipate with that.
Cool, definitely. I started practicing about 15 years ago as a freshman in college. I joined a gym my freshman year that had yoga. I was actually a teacher from my college, an English teacher that was teaching the class. And so I figured I'd take it one day, and I loved it from the very first day. It was a vinyasa style class, and there was actually another teacher there that did more of a restorative style class as well, and I loved her class too. Like, especially as a freshman in college on the weekends, you're up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but I still was getting up the next day at 8 and going to class.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I knew that was pretty special when I could do that. And
what drew you to it?
I think for me, and what's always been hard for me, is to get out of my head. I tend to overthink things a lot, and yoga has been the only practice where I can just, when I come on my mat, let everything fall away. There's something that really allows me, especially with the vinyasa style practice and coordinating breath with movement, to really get out of my head and focus on me, what's going on in my body. So I thoroughly enjoy it.
That's awesome. And then, so that was your freshman year of college, and then that's a long time between your first class and becoming a teacher. So what was going on for
that was
the time?
Yeah, a good 13 years pretty much. I actually took a teacher's training, so I kept on practicing all through college. I took a teacher's training as soon as I got out of college. It was a weekend training. And at the time, I'm not even sure if there was a 200-hour kind of thing going on in the States, or not one that was really heavily recognized. And so you could take this weekend class and you could go teach. And I took the weekend class and I didn't teach.
Yeah, I was going to say, raw.
No, I just didn't feel ready. The training was pretty basic, and being so young and not really, understanding a lot about my body at that age, and a lot of other things going on in my life, I wasn't ready to share. So I just kept on practicing and kept back in my mind that I was going to teach one day when everything aligned. And of course that doesn't always happen, and sometimes you just have to go for it. And so last year I just went for it and said, I'm going to do it, even though there's a ton of other things going on in my life right now. This is something I've been wanting to do for so long that I'm going to make it happen. And I did, and I love it.
It's awesome. And between now and then you had 2 little girls.
2 little girls, yep, a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old now, so which influenced my practice tremendously.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember also, because you didn't do the first time we met to talk about teacher training was it a few years ago or 2 years ago?
It was a little over 2 years ago. I came to interview with you, and it was probably maybe 6 months before I actually got pregnant with my second child, so couldn't do the teacher's training then.
Sure.
But after I had her, about 6 months after I had her, I decided to sign up for the next teacher's training.
Determined.
Yeah, determined.
So, kind of transitioning into teaching, what would you say are the elements of your personal practice that kind of are your more intimate connection to yoga that you try to bring into your practice as a teacher and the classes you teach?
I think definitely I have a large focus on the breath. For me, the breath means everything in the practice. If I lose my breath, then it's a huge indication that something's not right, whether it's in my body and I'm not honoring that, or whether my head is somewhere else and it's not, currently on the mat. So for me, I'm always focusing on the breath in my practice, and because I have a background in massage therapy, I'm really concerned about alignment too. From our training here at Kula, I got to learn about the Anusara tradition, and that kind of blew my mind, learning the alignment principles that went along with that. And so I try to bring that into each and every one of my classes that I do, because I want people to be safe in their bodies. And I also, especially in my own personal practice, there's certain poses that I've always wanted to do, like most of right now what I'm working on is like handstands, inversions, arm balances, which are cool. Everybody wants to do them, but I don't want to do them at the expense of hurting myself. So if that means that it takes me a little bit longer to get to that point in my practice, or maybe even not get to that point in my practice, as long as I'm honoring my body through those principles, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
So ultimately then, to carry it forward, how does the practice serve you in your life in general, and how does that show up for you as a teacher as well, in terms of what you're kind of bringing people's awareness to?
Well, I think for me, especially going through the teacher's training, because for the past whatever many years, 12 or 13 years before I took that training, the practice was really more a physical practice for me. And so, learning the actual tradition in training and applying that to every aspect of my life, even off the mat, has pretty amazing. It's been a huge shift, being able to cultivate certain qualities on the mat and then carry them through my life, whether it's just compassion or being less judgmental, being a little bit more patient, a little bit more open-minded. And so I try to do that in my classes as well, as remind people that it's not just a physical practice, that there's so much more to it. And if I can teach people that, then I feel like I've done a pretty good job at the end of the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure. And can you talk a little bit about the Saturday class specifically?
Saturday 2:30 class. It's a great time to practice. I know for a lot of people, especially on the weekend, can be kind of busy and kind of hectic. But for me, that's even more of a reason to come onto the mat, to just slow yourself down a little bit. It's an organic vinyasa style class. We definitely move, but like I said, I take the time to really focus on alignment, focus on breath. And I'm always encouraging you to take your practice to where you want to go at that very moment. So, whether you want to push yourself a little bit, that's great. But if you want to, hold back, that's great as well too. It's your practice. I'm just there to guide you.
Can you build on that a little bit in terms of how you support people? Like, what would you say to people that are maybe just starting to deepen their yoga and wanting to, translate it into their lives? Maybe just something like a little nugget that you picked up that's helped you a lot that you could share for people.
I'd always say don't look at anybody else in the room.
Right.
I really want people to personalize it. I'm actually a teacher that doesn't really practice that much up front. Like I usually am walking around a lot, because I don't want people to feel like it's a practice where they have to look like everybody else in the room, especially in their bodies. Like I want them to be able to feel it more than see it. And so I think that for new students, I really try to encourage that, to notice what you're feeling inside. Don't worry about what it looks like.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Namaste.
Namaste.